Bread aisle, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is the country's #1 organic bread for a reason. Always delivering killer taste, killer texture, and killer nutrition. This isn't bread, this is bread amplified.
This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love. When I talk about understanding your dreams in order to live a life you love, I realize it may sound simple and easy to achieve. I mean, you can create the intention to make this change in your life, go to some quiet place and take the steps you need to do to gain this new understanding about yourself, and think that's it. But of course, it's not that simple, and no one lives in a bubble. We're here living in the real world, and society constantly throws barriers and obstacles at us on a daily basis that are made to make us feel small, incomplete, and even full of self-hatred. You turn on the TV and see that couple moving into their dream house and realize you're jealous that they've got something you'll never have. Or you go into work and get the news that someone else has gotten the promotion you thought you deserved. It can even come from people you know. You go on Instagram and see a photo of your friend with her new boyfriend. I wonder why you can't find someone to love. Or you get an email from your sister who urges you to attend the latest Get Rich Quick webinar. And with that, you can't help but wonder, there's something wrong with you. In fact, whole industries are based on the idea there's something wrong with you, and that they, only they, have the cure. One area where this hits us the hardest, and by us, I mean women, is with our body images. From birth, we're bombarded with pictures of girls and women who have what are called the perfect figures. We're told we can too, if only we subscribe to the latest fad diet, buy the most stylish body slimming clothes, or use the makeup that will make us look as sexy as lingerie models. It's all too easy to be sucked into believing that, which is what happened to my guest today, Kate Huffman. Her struggles with her own body image led her to years of eating disorders and pain. Now, she's on a mission to help others who feel that way accept their bodies so they can lead the productive lives they were meant to live. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Oh, well, thank you. Kate, did I get that right, that you felt you couldn't live up to the body images you were fed as you were growing up?
Yes, it's not even something that happens on a conscious level. I think that women in particular, but really all people, when our brains are forming, we are shown images over and over again that our brain normalizes as what gives women value. So it's not even like, oh, I have to be the most beautiful person in the room. It's really, your value only begins once your body fits this cookie cutter body that we see everywhere we look. Once you can do that as a woman, then you can do anything you want to do. So I feel there's this perception that it's such a vanity issue, when really, no, it's simply attaining the minimum level of value that we as women are told we have. First your looks, first your body shape, all of that, get all of that taken care of here. And it's like a pair of hands waving in front of your face. Then you can go after anything you want in life. That's fine. You just have to take care of that first.
Right. And of course, it's not that. It's not really that at all.
Oh, no, it's absolutely not based in reality. It's based in capitalism, as you said. People make billions of dollars teaching us what our flaws are and offering us the solution.
Right. So what was it like for you growing up? I mean, did you have...
Go ahead.
I was saying, did you have weight issues or did you not like the weight?
Yeah, I was a fat kid, and that didn't necessarily bother me on a social level, even though I kind of knew I was bullied for it. And I sort of knew that people didn't talk to me at school for that reason, even though one-on-one, I was like their favorite person to hang out with, but at school they wouldn't talk to me. I kind of like figured that out. I was like, I get it. I see what's happening here. It's okay. But I wanted to be an actor. I am an actor and a writer and have been for 15 years prior to doing the body image coaching work that I do. And I was a very precocious, straight A student. I saw what looked like was the most fundamental job requirement for me, because this was the 90s. And in the 90s especially, there was only one body shape shown for female actresses, period. So at the age of 10, I started going after it. And very quickly, it became a full obsession. I already had undiagnosed OCD, and that just, my brain was ready and hungry to go to the extremes of anorexia very quickly. And then it gets wired into that brain and becomes a lifelong struggle.
Wow. It's funny. I was going to ask you about the acting because I can't think of any other career or that places such a high premium on your image. So why did you want to be an actor?
Well, I believe in the power of storytelling. I believe you can be of great service through art. That's always been my goal. Service through comedy. I do a lot of comedy. Dramatic storytelling. It's how we connect as people. And somehow I just knew from a tiny age that that's what I was put here to be, a storyteller in that way. And unfortunately, especially at that time, there was no body diversity whatsoever. That is shifting today. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. It certainly has a long way to go, but we do see women with normal body shapes, a variety of body shapes, being the protagonists of television shows without it just being like, oh, that's the fat, funny lady. No, not at all. They're having full, real lives, and nobody's talking about their bodies at all. It's a very wonderful thing. But on the whole, still an industry that pushes women to be absolutely unhealthfully thin. Plus, there are digital enhancements in film. The movie stars you see on TV and in movies, we think, oh, that's not an image. It hasn't been photoshopped. That's a moving image. Nope, incorrect. It's called beauty work. Every single frame, their thighs have been slimmed down. Their waists have been slimmed down. It happens frame by frame by frame. So it's pretty brutal.
Oh, I know. I mean, I come from the film business and I'm very well aware of that and aware of the types. It was always, this is going back a while too, but it was always like, the fat person, the funny person, you cast the overweight woman. She can never be the romantic lead. Right. Which is no longer true, which I love. Still largely true, but I want to acknowledge the changes that have been made. There are quite a few films, TV shows where that's no longer the requirement, is an unhealthy size. Right. Well, how did you come to realize that you could actually love your body? Ooh, that is a long journey. I didn't for decades. So from 10 to at least, 20 plus years, I was a complete servant to the voice in my head, controlling every single decision I made at any point in my life. Everything was filtered through caloric goals, exercise goals. And this started to take a serious toll on my body. I was dealing with massive chronic pain. I couldn't move many days, but I would take painkillers to go to the gym anyway. And then I'd be lying on the ground thinking I was just going to die before I turned 30. I lost relationships, friendships, health. It actually negatively affected my career in the end because I didn't have the energy to be able to go after the things I wanted. So all of these things were taking a toll on my life in very significant ways. And I fell into such a dark place with it and sat around trying to figure out how to make any meaning out of my life at all. And I thought, I do believe in being of service of art. I am a comedian. I am an actor. I'm a storyteller. Maybe the only thing I can do to create that meaning is to tell my story and see if it is of service to anyone. So I got to work on that. And it was extraordinarily hard to look at the way that I live on paper. I'd be writing and looking at the computer just thinking, this is such a dumb way to live your life. Now excuse me while I go live it. But after 2 years, I had a one-woman show ready to present to the world called I'm Too Fat for This Show. And that changed my life forever. I knew that it would. These are not things I ever spoke about to anyone. Many of my closest friends had no idea.
And it was terrifying, but I released the shame around all of these issues, put it out there in the world, and discovered that indeed it was of service to people. People were extraordinarily grateful to see eating disorders portrayed in a way they'd never seen, to see themselves relating to whether or not you'd ever been diagnosed with an eating disorder or even OCD. People could relate to that voice in your head dictating the way you're supposed to live your life, even though there's another part of you knowing that you should be smarter than that and move past that. So I wound up winning a bunch of awards with that show, taking it all around the world for about 4 years. Just coming up right at 4 years. And somewhere along that path, I realized I could no longer keep saying, do as I say, not as I do. Because it was a very present tense show. I was still living that life. And people were asking for help if they faced similar issues, and I didn't have answers. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. I have to offer answers if I'm going to put these issues out there like this. And so I started digging really deep, doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of mindfulness, meditation, and body positivity, and thought work, a process of thought work that eventually led me to appreciate my body, love my body, find the importance in a purpose beyond one's body shape, and actually be able to forgive the version of ourselves that were so dedicated to those rules and move forward. And then I became certified and started coaching in it, and it's been incredible.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about that idea of thought work. Tell me more about that. What is it and how does that help?
Thought work is the fundamental truth that our thoughts are not truths, right? We tend to believe our thoughts. They happen so fast. They've been programmed in our brains from such an early age that we tend to take them as fact, when in reality, they aren't. We can choose new thoughts. There are circumstances. So let's say your thought is, I can't date anyone unless I lose weight. That feels like a fact for many people. I can't date anyone right now. I have to lose weight. Just happens so fast. You believe it so deeply that it feels like a fact, but it's not. There is a fact, which is, I am X size, I am this size, and I would like to date. Those are truths, right? Those are circumstances. The thought below it is, I can't date at this size, but we have every thought available to us right there. We could think I'm the perfect size to date. We could think my size has no relevance to whether or not I can date, and so on and so forth, right? So we have to recognize that truth and then learn how to catch the thought, challenge it with a series of ThoughtWorks tools. Is that true? Can I be absolutely certain that's true? Would I ever say that to someone else? There's a plethora of tools we can apply to that, and then learn how to shift to at least a neutral thought. It doesn't have to go straight to a positive thought, because that will often not feel true for us, period. You can't go from I hate my body to I have the sexiest body in the world. You just can't. You're going to laugh yourself out of the room, right? But if you can just shift to something very neutral, like I hate my body to I have a human body, and just go on about your day. Or, I have a body and I want to date. As neutral as possible. Shifting to that, and it takes practice, but actually doing that work allows you to truthfully rewire your brain and start moving through the world with greater confidence, greater freedom. It's a hugely freeing experience to do this work.
There's such a powerful statement and powerful tools. And it just reminds me that so many of us just sleepwalk through life, and we go through these things. We have these thoughts that we're not even aware that we have the thought that, oh, no one will date me because I'm, X pounds more than I should be. They don't think about it. So having that awareness is really the first step to realize that, oh, I am thinking these things and they may not be true, but I'm thinking them because I've just been thinking them and haven't given them a second thought. With that, we are going to be taking a short break here. We are speaking with positive body image coach Kate Huffman, and we'll be right back. What do Thomas Jefferson, Elias Howe, and Paul McCartney have in common? They all understood the value of dreams, and as a result, The ideas, inventions, and creations from their dreams affect us to this day. What great ideas are you leaving on your pillow at night? Sign up for a complimentary consultation at my website, thedreamcoach.net, and discover why your dreams are a terrible thing to waste.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're speaking about body image with Kate Huffman. Kate, there's a term for this called body dysmorphia. Could you explain what that is and how you deal with it?
Certainly. So body dysmorphic disorder is a type of OCD where you become so obsessed with a perceived flaw that may or may not be noticeable to anyone else, that it dominates your thoughts, it dominates your life, it dominates your behaviors. And many, many women, especially, but men as well, manifest this disorder around the shape of their bodies, this perception of too much fat. We live in a very fat-phobic society that teaches us from the time we're young that fat is bad. That is absolutely not a truth. It should just be a descriptor: tall, short, fat, thin. It's a description of a human body. There's zero reason that we perceive it so terrifyingly negatively, but we are taught to. So because of all of that, many women have a slightly dysmorphic, if not fully dysmorphic, perception of their own bodies. When you have full-blown body dysmorphia, it's constant invasive thoughts. So there was, for most of my life, not a single moment that I wasn't aware of the shape of my body. I felt my stomach growing, or I felt my thighs. It's a strange sensation. And that is why a lot of women know what the feeling is to feel fat, which in reality is not a feeling, right? It's like, it's an obsessive awareness of what may or may not be adipose tissue on your body. Like you may be envisioning it to be a ton of adipose tissue when really it's just a normal, healthy amount of human adipose tissue. But this dysmorphic obsession makes you unable to complete any of the things you want to do in your life, unable to connect fully with those around you, unable to fully go after your dreams until you address that. So the compulsive behaviors then would be going to the gym for extra hours, engaging in some kind of disordered eating, whatever it is. Those are the ways to try to calm that monster. And that's how it goes hand in hand with eating disorders.
Mm-hmm. So you say things like, the thoughts and doing meditation and things like that help a person cope with this?
Very much so. So any kind of anxiety disorder or OCD, your brain is running on such overdrive all the time that the process of allowing it to drop into a theta state that happens with meditation or guided hypnosis, that in itself, just achieving that, can be such a fundamental shift in your understanding of the world. I was on constant go anxiety for most of my life until turning 30. And I went through a very, very huge shift in my life where there was a breakup that made me lose my friends, and I was in chronic pain, so I couldn't work. So I was losing all my money, and then my agents had dropped me. All these things were like piling up and then all my hair started falling out in big handfuls from the stress of it. And for whatever reason, it was the hair falling out that sort of tipped me over the edge and kind of paralyzed me. So I couldn't leave my apartment essentially. And at that time, a friend of mine had just gotten certified in hypnotherapy, and she started coming over and doing hypnotherapy on me just to get me to calm down about the hair. That was really it. But that was the first time that I found that safe, quiet space for my brain, that peacefulness, that it really just gets you to the heart of what we all are, this energetic being. It takes all of it strips it all away and allows us to just for a moment be in this peaceful, safe, true place. And from that moment on, I craved that place. So once I was done with my hypnotherapy, it was guided meditations as much as I could. And I love guided meditations. You can meditate to nothing, absolutely. But especially for people who have a certain idea about meditation, I highly recommend. You can find a guided meditation on anything on YouTube. And it's just like, go on an adventure, let yourself go, be taken into the clouds or just wherever you want to go. So that's how it started for me. And then in time, once you're in that theta place, that's where you can really do the intense rewiring of your brain. I never felt self-love in my living memory until I was under hypnosis. And I could actually shift whatever wiring in my brain told me I was essentially worthless and unlovable to look at myself as a third person, as I would look at anyone else and see, oh, this is just a person. This is just a perfectly fine person trying her best in the world. There's no reason to hate her so much. And then I could actually love her. So being in that place is very powerful.
I know. And it just brings up the point of how self-hatred is so pervasive when we don't even realize that we're feeling that. We just look at everything else, and it all comes down to that lack of self-love. And when we can get to that point, when we can realize that we are just perfect the way we are and accept ourselves, that's when the miracles start to happen.
Completely. It's this self-loathing that is so prevalent in our society. And every single one of my clients, we have such a block around giving ourselves the love and the compassion and the empathy that we give to everyone else. And people really come to me convinced that they'll never be able to shift that. But in time, they can. The more you ask yourself, if I would treat any other living human being this way, then I cannot treat myself this way. I am a living human being. And more you really make the effort to see that shift, and there are ways to do it, the freer you are. Once again, you think about yourself a lot less once you love yourself. It's actually self-loathing where we think about ourselves all the time, which that kind of blows people's mind.
I know, it's very true. And,
yeah.
And speaking of self-loathing and the images that we get from the media, I'm thinking of all those commercials on TV that tout weight loss programs. What do you think of those?
Well, so that's speaking to the fact that we live in a diet culture, meaning we are also taught, just like we're taught to fear fat, this fat-phobic society, we are taught that dieting is super normal, even virtuous, something great to go after. When the fact of the matter is dieting, first off, is inherently the most unnatural thing that a human being can do. And secondly, is guaranteed to fail. Study after study after study for decades have shown a 2 to 5% success rate for any diet. And yet people continue to sell. And they've taught us from such a young age that it's so important that we buy. So those products are so convincing that we think this thing that is so valuable, losing weight, having a certain body size, well, they've convinced me I'm going to give them my money again. Maybe this time it will work. And it's never going to work unless you develop disordered eating. The only way to be successful at a diet is to develop an eating disorder. That's the only way to be successful at it, because you have to put everything else in your life second to continue to live in this restricted, unhealthy, abnormal way. So the other strange notion is that dieting is somehow healthier. And that's inaccurate as well. The healthiest thing to do is to listen to your body. It's to be taught to tune into your body and eat intuitively. And that's something that we have to learn, because diet culture has disconnected our heads from our bodies. We have taught our brains to tell our bodies to shut up. Nope, I don't care if you're hungry. I don't care if you're tired. Be quiet. I'm not going to feed you right now because this piece of paper that someone gave me with a set of rules about what I'm allowed to eat when says I can't. So we learn to disconnect from our bodies, and we're not ever going to be able to actually feed it the way we need to until we can mend that connection.
Right. And of course, any structured diet program that people are selling, it may work when you're on it, and then you finish it, and then you probably end up getting more weight than you had in the first place. So this don't work. I want to ask you this. Let's say you look at yourself in the mirror, you just don't like what you see. Are there healthy, effective ways to lose weight?
So I believe we can't dismiss that longing, we can acknowledge it, but it does not matter how much weight you lose if you are looking at your body with loathing. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't. That's been proven again and again as well. People lose weight. They think it'll get them happy. It doesn't. They're still unhappy. There's still more to fix. You have to be shifting your mindset. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror with love and acceptance, no matter what its shape is. You have to ask yourself, you have to challenge yourself, why does it matter that my body fit a certain shape? Who taught me that that's important? Capitalism? Oh, interesting, right? Who has taught me that this shape is unacceptable? Who has taught me to throw hate at this body of mine? And you have to do the work to neutralize that and be accepting and loving and neutral of the body that you're in, and remove, as much as possible, remove weight loss as a goal. It's not relevant. It's not really even an effective marker of health. There are other markers of health. You can't determine a person's health based on their body shape. There are people who are quote unquote overweight who are extraordinarily healthy in all of their blood work and their cholesterol and their blood pressure, right? So instead of focusing on the weight loss, focus on loving your body. If there are behavioral things you need to shift, right, that are not loving to your body or loving to your mind, you can work on those. That's fine. And, the shape of your body may change. You may lose weight. You may gain weight. You may stay the same weight. If we can actually neutralize all of that out, then you're in a much better position to experience self-love, body acceptance, body love as you move through life, and actually experience the happiness that you think you're going to get from body shaming yourself and trying so hard to lose weight and focus so hard on the number on the scale. That's guaranteed success, and that is not going to lead you to happiness.
That makes a lot of sense. But I want to ask you about the whole idea of prejudice in society against overweight people and fat shaming and things like that. How do we overcome that?
I think it's really important to spread the message that this association with a person's body shape and their health is so strong because, well, first, health in itself is not a moral good. It's not a virtue. We do not attack people with cancer, but for some strange reason, fat shaming seems to be the one type of bullying that's still acceptable in everyday life because people are like, because it's unhealthy, so therefore I can bully them. Okay, you don't even bully smokers that badly. People don't even shame smokers as badly as they do, as one of the most proven truly unhealthy activities you can choose. They are not treated the same way that people in fat bodies are treated. And we have to, first off, the trolls online that go after these people who unabashedly love their body despite it not fitting the thin ideal, they're called health trolls because they seem to think they're allowed to be as cruel as they want because they're so concerned about this plus size model's health. Oh, really? That's what you're concerned about? I mean, it's just so inaccurate. But I think even beyond the people who are bullying, we need to each address that size prejudice, that sizeism in our own minds, and challenge our own thinking and be willing to talk about it with others. If somebody's like, wow, they gained weight, that's really sad. Go, how do you know it's sad? You don't know anything about that. Perhaps they were really sick before. Perhaps they've had a secret eating disorder for years and have suddenly gotten over it. We don't know that that's sad. You're making an assumption that their smaller body is more valuable than this larger body.
We are almost out of time, so I have time for one final question. How can people find out more about you and your work?
Thank you. I would love to invite anyone I have a free mini course that teaches the intro to body acceptance and thought work. And you can find that at katehuffman.com/mini course. So HUFFMAN. So F as in Frank /mini course. And I have a Facebook group called Body Positivity for People with Bodies that has lots of free resources, free trainings, and it has a beautiful community of people on this journey. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Kate Huffwoman.
Wonderful. Well, Kate, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today. We've been speaking with body image coach Kate Huffman. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.